The Switch 2 came out.
Yeah, we got a copy.
Wait, did you call it a copy?
Copy.
We got a copy of the Switch 2?
What am I talking about? We got a copy of it.
It's the Snitch 2.
All right, this is This Week in Nerd History podcast where we take a look at all the fun, dumb, nerdy stuff from the past, present, and future. I'm Mike. Joining me as always, we got AJ and Sal. We took a little hiatus last week. AJ just got to the studio. She was stuck in traffic for 7 or 8 days.
Yep.
Sorry, AJ.
Straight.
That's brutal.
Yeah. It's good for being stuck in a car in the rain for 8 days.
I know.
Yeah, well, I had a lot of bottles nearby, so I could fill them up.
Good. That's good. That is good.
No bathroom breaks needed.
That was literally like we're all set to last week. We're all set to record, and AJ's like, I'm like, how you didn't move like a quarter mile?
I moved 3/4 of a mile in 2 hours. The entire highway was shut down, and they were just taking 3 lanes of traffic and getting them all off of one exit, and it was brutal. I don't know why they didn't have.
It was you're supposed
that I was busy and that I needed to be somewhere.
Podcast.
Well, the worst part was that I wasn't even on my way here. I was on my way to West Haven to drop off my son. So like by the time I got there, then like I would still have to come back. There wasn't traffic on the way back, but I was just a mess of like I was like a shaking like shell of a human because I just had been sitting in stop traffic for so long.
There's like no escape too, because even if you get to an exit, like everybody's going to that exit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
nightmare.
we were literally like there was a period of literally 10 minutes where we didn't move at all, and my son just started going, "Why are we here?" And I was like,
"Oh my god,
I'm sorry, this is
existential
traffic.
crisis."
Hey, why don't we just die? I'm with you, kid. I know.
Do you mean in
None of us really know,
Earth?
son. None of us really know.
Yeah.
Just turn up the radio a little bit louder here. Hang on. We were going to talk about last week. We're going to talk about it this week. Predator, Killer of Killers. We all saw it. No spoilers. Fucking awesome. I don't think that's like spoiling anything. Switch 2 came out recently. Mel Brooks announced Spaceballs 2 40 years later, so it's not coming out until like 2027, I think.
Yeah.
Which
With like the original cast.
As much as you can get, yeah.
Yeah.
Rick Moranis, like, didn't he retire like a bunch of years ago?
Yeah, decades ago.
Decades ago. It's pretty crazy. I mean, Mel Brooks looks great. 98 years old. But the first thing I thought was like 2 years from now, I'm like, all right, hang on. But
hang in there, Mel.
Okay.
You got a plan?
We got IOs.
Yeah.
You got a backup plan just in case, Mel? I mean, just saying.
Yeah, right.
They're taking 3D scans of his face immediately.
Right?
So they can...
He would think that's funny.
For
he's
sure,
like, just bring me back using fake puppetry and CGI wizardry. I'll sell my voice to whatever studio's releasing it.
I'm excited about that. I love Mel Brooks movies. I'll say it like this. I love most of each Mel Brooks movie.
Yes. I have a similar relationship with Mel Brooks movies where it's like, I love many parts of almost all of them. Like,
exactly.
I had a very Dracula Dead and Loving It. I went, oh well, I guess I'm done with these movies from now on. Like,
I was like that with Men in Tights. I was like, that's just this movie's not. And Holly loves that movie. I'm like,
I love Men in Tights.
Man.
Men in Tights.
I
yes.
quote it all the time. Every time I'll be like, "Abe Lincoln." Did you say "Hey Lincoln"? No, I said Abe Lincoln.
Yeah. And, by the way, if you ever give Dracula Dead and Loving It a bad like time, someone will invariably go, "Come on," and then they will cite the funniest thing about it, which is when he dies, and then Renfield makes a smiley face in his ashes and says, "Look, you're looking happier already," or something like that. Like that's Peter McNichol's just like boop boop boop. I'm like, that's hilarious.
Yeah, that's great.
Not worth the. How long was this? 65 minutes. Yeah. I was also I was young enough where I enjoyed Men in Tights, but I was a big nerd, so I preferred Spaceballs.
Mm-hmm.
And but now now and forever. I saw at a second run movie theater Blazing Saddles, and I was like, this is it. This is the funniest movie I've ever seen in my life.
I know. Blazing Saddles is fantastic. I put in a similar thing. I put Spaceballs at the top of my list for that, just because like nerdy stuff. But to me, it's like, as I think partly because of its relationship to Star Wars, like it just felt like I liked the most of the whole movie compared to like
there's
other
a
ones.
narrative there. You know,
you're
I
like,
gotta
you're really-
say, and you might want to murder me for this, but I don't know if I've ever watched Spaceballs all the way through.
all the way through.
Wow.
I may have never seen it at all. I know of it. And
I am aware of it.
And I've watched most of Star Wars. Maybe.
What?
I don't know if I've told you guys this before on this podcast. I've told it on multiple things, but I went to college with these two sisters that saw Spaceballs before Star Wars, and they thought Star Wars was based. They made a serious version of Spaceballs. I've asked them to confirm this like several times, like in my college career. I'm like, "Are you serious about like?"
Right,
Because
is
it's
this
such a big.
I mean,
leap
if you've
like,
seen
get
it
to that
first,
point.
then yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I would
But, like,
probably, honestly, I would, yeah, if that was the case for me, I'd be like, this is just a shitty version of Spaceballs.
I don't just in my head, like if I had like not watching Star Wars, not just whatever, but like in a
Yeah.
situation like that, I would make like the connection of like, oh, this must be a spoof of that movie, even though I've seen this movie first.
Yeah.
It's like other movies that exist before I've seen this movie,
Yeah.
so it could
Just looking
possibly
at the
be
year
based
it
on.
came out. It's like,
It's like
Yeah.
watching Scary Movie
Right.
and then watching any of the movies that are referenced in it.
Yeah.
And being like, oh, this
Exactly.
is, they made a serious movie.
They made a gritty
based
version
on that one joke
Of
that was
Scary
in
Movie.
Scary Movie.
how weird. Why would
That's
they do
so
that?
weird.
They wouldn't.
Yeah. I'd forgotten about. I think somebody asked that on Discord or like on one of our streams about Spaceballs and stuff, and I forgot that we put that joke in an episode of Sonic for Hire, where it's Thunderhead and Sonic, and they're like breaking out of prison or whatever, and they're mid argument, and Thunderhead is arguing that Star Wars was based off of Spaceballs.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
As a kid, at the very least, I thought they should have made Spaceballs action figures packaged with Star Wars figures. That was like the furthest leap I would make. Because I knew George liked it, and he, you know, that was it.
Yeah.
I will say, there is another Spaceballs follow-up. You're probably familiar only because of your animation background, but there was a Spaceballs cartoon show.
Right. Yeah.
It was the worst thing ever.
I don't think I
Just
ever watched it.
Don't.
Yeah.
It's
Don't do it.
It's made with Flash animation, and it's just like, but put on television. Like I think it must have been made for like Spike TV or something like that. It was just
That
like,
all sounds right. Yeah.
yeah, right. Like that tracks. And it's just it's just not. It just doesn't have it. And so yeah, when they were talking about doing the sequel, I'm like, we're not going to talk about the cartoon, are we?
Nope.
And then it's like, no. And I'm like, oh, good. All right, cool. And I love the idea of Spaceballs 2. Like, I love the idea that Spaceballs 2 came now, like, because they could make fun of the nostalgia capturing horrible sequelists.
There's so much has happened in Star Wars since
Yes.
in the 40 years that it's just like they could recap all that stuff and, you know, put
Yeah. I'm hopeful, but I mean, I don't know.
I know. I feel like it's gonna like I'm hopeful it's something new from Mel Brooks. Great.
Yeah.
I'm very skeptical of it though. I will watch it for sure, but I'm like I'm not going in expecting this to be like hilarious all the way through.
I think it's amazing that Rick Moranis was like, I'm good on being Louis Tully again, but I will be Dark Helmet. I'm like, I mean, on one hand, do we need Louis? Like, does Louis need to return? Is
Right.
it, like, would it be kind of sad for him to still be their attorney? But also,
I
it
think
would be nice to
great.
see him because he's
Yeah.
so great. And that just reminded me of like Rick Moranis came out from his burrow recently to do an interview about like costumes he wore, and I watched like a few seconds of it and was like, this was not the person to interview Rick Moranis. Like,
Oh, really?
he was just like, it was like the Chris Farley show. It was like, remember that time when you were in Little Shop of Horrors?
That was awesome.
That was awesome.
One other thing that we're mentioning earlier, the Switch 2 came out. AJ, you said Dan, right? I forgot. Dan
Yeah.
got one. Right?
We got a copy. There was a midnight release at Best Buy the night before, but we
Wait,
had
did you call
heard
it a copy?
copy.
That sounds right, but what's...
Did I say
Sounds weird, yeah.
I don't know.
We got a
talking
copy
about.
of the Switch 2?
What am I talking about? We got a copy of it.
Sorry.
It's the Snitch 2.
Nothing.
We've got the Switch 2 at home.
Maybe that's why all the stickers started peeling off.
You did it. You got the Switch.
I got the snitch. It's not an off-brand one, I swear.
How did you guys end up getting
We got
it?
a Switch. So Dan wanted to go to the Best Buy like midnight opening. He wanted to go at like 3 p.m. with my son and wait all night. And I was like, absolutely not. Like, what are you going to do for food? What are you going to do for the bathroom? He's going to fall asleep at like 7 and be cold. And you're both going to want to kill each other. Like, don't do that. So instead, they woke up at 5 a.m. and went to the opening of it at a Target. And Dan said he actually put the onus on Felix, and he said, like, listen, if you want this, we have to get up early to go be in line. And it's up to you. You have to figure it out. So he set an alarm on his iPad and he put it under his bed, and he woke up and he came in, and I woke up too, even though I didn't go, but because he woke me up, and they got up and they got little coats on, and they brought the original Switch with them, and they played games while they were waiting in line at Target. And
Nice.
they were third in line, so they got one.
Holy shit, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. There was only like, I think it was either 15 or 30, I forget how many, like at that specific location, but they basically like sat in line and they got like a little number to say like you're a guaranteed one, so they didn't like they could leave to go to the bathroom or whatever because they were there when it opened.
Oh,
That's
that's so cute that he
It was really cute. It was his first like, all right, I'm gonna get up early and do a thing with Dad. It was an adventure. Like Dan wanted to have an adventure with him the night before, and I was like, that's just not the way to do it. The getting up early is the better way to do it, I think,
for sure.
Yeah.
than the stay up late.
Have you guys ever done any of those things like that? Like,
I mean, I did
wait in a
I
crazy line
stayed
kind
up
of
all night trying to get into SNL, and I got in twice, I think.
That's awesome.
oh,
yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Who was hosting?
Yeah.
One of them was it was a sports person. So I was like
like
I
a
don't
Manning?
care about this. It was one of the two football brothers. What are they?
Okay,
Yeah.
that's great
Oh,
because
like-
you might have gotten to see that amazing sketch where it's like I'd just rather confess to the murder. So where
Eli's.
is it Eli's on the stand?
It was.
He's
I
just
think
like,
it was Eli Manning. It could
That's
have been him.
awesome.
I think it was
that
him.
was
got
really
to see
good.
that amazing
I'm like-
sketch.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I don't remember that sketch though. What I do remember was a sketch that was cut that Aziz was in. Or no, it wasn't Aziz. It was one of the women in the cast who was new, and she was playing Aziz, and it was just this. It was just this thing where she was wearing like a leather jacket with a ton of zippers, and she had a little goatee like drawn her, and she's like, "I love this." She was like, "I hate this jacket. No, I love this jacket because it has zippers." And she's just like, I don't know,
Nailed it.
That sketch lives rent free in my brain, and I love it so much. And the only time it saw the light of day is when she did an interview on like a podcast or something, and they showed the clip, and I was like, oh my god, it exists. So like if you look for it, if you type in Aziz Ansari, I forget.
It might have been Nassim Pedrad.
Yes, it was Nassim Pedram. I love her so much. If you search for Nassim Pedram Aziz Ansari sketch, you'll be able to watch it, and it's
Yay.
amazing. And I was so mad that it was cut for time because we got to see the rehearsal instead of the actual live
show,
one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
We've done it twice. One time we did it with all of Dan's brothers, and we all had chairs and we sat around, and we didn't get into that one. But the time that we did get in, we brought an air mattress and we slept on the sidewalk on an air
That's
mattress.
awesome. Yeah,
Because
I've-
you got to do what you got to do.
yeah, exactly.
The hardest part of it, honestly, is finding a bathroom in the middle of the night because you have to like walk for blocks to get to like an open all night McDonald's or something.
My first Comic-Con, I was up at a party until like 4, and I left, and I'm walking back to my hotel, and I passed the line for Hall H for the big panel, and there's just all these people asleep, just outside on the concrete. And I'm like, I do not envy these people at all. And then I just went into bed and got in my cozy bed and fell asleep.
Yeah, it's just not in my DNA to do. I'm trying to just think of like,
What would make you get up super early
what I would really
or
wanna
stay
go
up late
see.
to do a thing?
yeah,
I've wanted to do that, but I've never had I remember getting tickets for Phantom Menace, and I walked up to my theater like a jerk. I was like, I'll take a ticket for Phantom Menace, expecting them to be like, no, and then have to go in like a line and stay overnight. And they were like, what time? And I was like, what? 4? And they're like, here you go. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, see you later. Turns out that theater, all the screens were Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
All day. So,
That's so smart.
I was like, wow.
I miss when that used, like, I remember going to a theater and then being like, oh my God, the entire theater is like all this one
Titanic.
movie. All 10 screens are this one thing. Because that's a fun way to open a weekend with a big blockbuster movie.
Right? Especially if there's a demand for it. It's
Yeah.
like, oh man.
Nobody does that anymore. No. Instead, it's like you got to find one screen that's at 2 p.m. or 10:30 and nothing in between.
Yep. And then you get to get a ticket that's assigned seats. And then you go there and there's someone in it and you got to go.
That's my seat.
And you're in my seat. And you know you're going to invite a conversation because either that person knows they're in your seat or they're stupid and they don't know they're in their seat. And then they have to find out for the first time in their lives that it's assigned seats. And then you have to show them your ticket. And
sometimes it's just a simple mistake. Like they thought it was E and it was F.
99%
the E
of the
was
time,
scratched off.
It's been people going like, oh, I'm sorry. And then they just go to the other seat.
I mean,
Most of
I've
the
done
time-
that because I used to just sneak into movies, even if there was assigned seating. That was like my
then you just
favorite.
go like-
As a teenager, that was my favorite thing to do. You go, you buy one ticket for like the most prominent movie, and you plan out your entire. I've done as many as 4 movies in one day, just paying for one and then just sneaking into the other 3.
Yeah.
And sometimes you miss like the first 10 minutes, but it doesn't really matter because it's the Hulk or it's one of the Fast and Furious movies, which is like, I saw both of those on the same day.
Nice. That's cool.
Sometimes you get to see all of them because you just spend enough time in the bathroom before the next one starts.
Yeah, but not money well spent, see?
Right. That's true. Right.
It was worth it. Yeah, I did that. My parents, or at least my mom, got me tickets to see Richie Rich. And I saw Billy Madison.
Good choice.
My favorite go to
like halfway through
something
the movie,
else.
like, this was a good decision.
I got tickets to see, there was like this movie and I got free tickets to go see it with like me and all of my, like my brother, my sister, and like a friend or something. We had 4 free tickets and we went to the theater and it was packed and it wasn't assigned seating. So there was like one free seat here and one down there and one over there or whatever. And we're like, we don't really want to see this movie. So we just went across the way and we saw Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion instead.
Oh, that's a good choice. Yeah, because that's
way better.
You're talking about was the Billy Crystal Robin Williams movie about them both being the same day. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I don't remember that movie at all.
I never saw it.
I didn't see it.
I got a ticket to see it and I never saw it.
Yeah. That poster was up when I worked for Panavision for a little while. That poster was like in the office and I'm like, like,
why?
Literally, the guy, like one of the guys who worked there was like, check this out, and pulled out the lenses they used to film The Godfather. And he's like, and I'm like, but what's with the Father's Day poster? Well, they're like, we shot that movie. I'm like, you shot every movie.
It
Why
really
this
devalues
one?
the Godfather stuff. If this is like, what's your standards here, pal?
Yeah, it's not signed. Bizarre. So their priorities were completely out of whack because those Godfather lenses were like under something, and they rented them. Like they rented them to production. It's just there's a little piece of tape that said GF1. I'm like, oh,
They're like using it as like packing material to pack the poster to keep the poster safe.
yeah, I got to keep that poster safe.
Yep.
All right, so came out a couple weeks ago. This is today. I don't know whatever it is. Recently in nerd history,
Recently.
Predator: Killer of Killers came out. Fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
I could like go on and gush about this movie for a while. Like I don't even know where to start. The thing I guess I'll start with is, the 3 different stories in there. At 3 different points in each one, I said the same thing. I go, oh shit, there's a predator in this. Because I was like so involved in the story of like the people. I was like, this is great. And then like you hear like, I was like, oh fuck, there's a predator.
There it is.
Oh no, they just made it 1,000 times better somehow.
Exactly. Yeah. Holy
Ah,
shit.
shit.
Like, how am I constantly forgetting that? The animation, the artwork and stuff, the style of it, the action and everything. I wanted to share something a little bit later, just like the long like oneer of the first story with like the mother and son, like that action sequence when she's like breaking into like the camp or whatever.
I had to watch it twice immediately because I was like, this was just insane. Also,
Yeah.
I was watching it and Dan was like, I'll watch it with you, but he was like doing something else. And I was like, you're missing the...
There's so much. Yeah.
She just decapitated someone with 2 shields. It was fucking incredible. You missed it.
Yeah. I don't know. It literally had like everything I could hope for in a Predator. I was like, the coolest weapons. Each one is cooler than the next for each specific Predator. Like, awesome. Great.
Yeah.
The
amount of new tech they had to come up with to make this movie happen is insane to me.
I was trying to think of like what my favorite story
Segment.
segment
Yeah.
in it was. And honestly too, like I would have been fine with those 3.
Yes. No,
Right?
that's the thing about this movie is it gave you more than you ever expected because like any one of these could have been its own like mid-budget action Predator movie. Like any of those movies could have been made between 1987 and now and would be cool. You could also flesh them out. You could make a whole damn movie about like just this mother and her son and they're getting revenge and then this Predator shows up.
Yep.
Or like the dogfighter or the samurai. Like any of those things could have been their own thing, but they managed to weave them in perfectly into each other. Then they go, and now let's bring it all together. And it's like, I thought that was going to be like a sequel bait thing. Where it's like, oh, here's the reveal that like they're actually like
they're all together for some reason.
Together
from different
and
eras
maybe one day
somehow.
if people watch it, if there are enough Hulu subscriptions sold, we'll make another one. But no, they went, now there probably won't be. So here you go.
Here
Here's
you
all
go.
of it.
Here it is.
Oh.
Yeah.
I have a
Fucking
question because I'm assuming that both of you know more about the Predator universe than I do. Does it always take place at a battle of some kind? Because I thought that was really interesting for these stories that we see like a battle in different areas and it's interesting to watch that and all of the action there. And then the Predator, of course, is going after whoever wins.
Yes.
And that makes sense that that's how they pick who they're going to go after. They want the killer of killer. They want to be the killer of killers.
Right. Yeah. They're drawn
so
to
I thought that was
conflict.
really interesting, and I just was like, well, I've only ever seen like Prey, and I don't know if I've seen any of the other Predator movies. So I was like, I don't have any context for this. Does this happen a lot? Like,
yeah, because the first Predator movie is like about how the Predator shows up. Like he attacks some U.S. military types who are trying to stop South American guerrillas from like smuggling weapons across the border. So it's like kind of it's like a holdover from the Cold War. The second one, there's like a huge gang war in L.A. So like you're watching these warring groups like attacking each other, and like it's a massive war that's completely erupted in L.A. And the Predator's like, sweet. And it turns out that his like biggest prey was an aged Danny Glover. With like which is great, by the way. He's amazing in that movie. Like he's great because it's such a departure from Arnold. Like everyone is huge. The body mass alone in Predator 1 is just amazing.
Ridiculous.
But yeah, it was cool to see like the change in protagonists. That's why it's so cool to like see the when the movies are made competently. Like they're like, here's a different version of a warrior. The first one's like the ultimate warrior, and the second one's like the unlikely urban warrior, and then like you skip a couple and you go to the Predators, and it's Adrian Brody, I guess. And then you skip a couple more, and then you get to Prey. It's like and a young, Native American warrior who like wants to prove herself. That's really awesome.
Yeah,
and that's by the same guy. So he's like, I'm doing that. I'm carrying that over. Yeah, no, they're drawn to conflict. It's the best way to like weed out warriors. It's hard to just go like,
everybody's at peace. Who do I fight?
Yeah, exactly.
I want to fight someone who's really strong.
Yeah,
just find
or is really resourceful or is really cunning. Like it's great.
Yep.
I liked the different designs on the Predators too.
Yeah, I know.
Dan especially liked the bald one because he thinks that he always hated the dreadlocks on Predator, so he's like, I like the bald one better. I was like, what do you like? I like them. Whatever.
Yeah. I like the dreads. For me, I'm like, why? I'm like, that's great, but like, I'd like to see real Predator at some point. Like, I want to see a real Predator, like the original Predator, show up. But I get it because like since Predators, they've been like, we gotta update the design, and I'm like, I don't see the Predator design as being broken.
I know. Really, I know. Since like, I'm the same way. Like the original one, I was like, awesome. I don't know. They all look like that. Cool. Every single one of them.
They all look like that.
Yeah.
The mask is where things get different. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But then like all the other ones after that, I'm just like, they just seem like weirder. Yeah. This is like a weird comparison to me, but like in Hellboy, when the what are the monsters that like one dies and two are reborn? Like the whatever
the
those
Samael, Sam Hands.
Yeah,
I think it's Samael.
So those ones, like the switch between the CGI ones and like the practical costume ones, they all feel like the practical costume ones. Like the CGI ones is moving like 1,000,000 miles an hour and they're like super quick and whatever. And then when they switch to the practical ones, it's just kind of like slow and lurking and weird.
Lumbering.
Because there's a guy in there.
Right. So like all those Predators since the first one kind of felt like that to me, where they're just sort of like weird and gangly. They'll get like a large guy. But then like Prey, I was like, this dude's fucking awesome looking. They had a specific name. It was like the Prime. I don't remember what it was. That one was the first one. I was like, that is fucking cool looking. I think they had like a guy who played semi-professional or professional basketball or something like that. So he was like tall and very weird build and stuff. And like, I don't know. It was fucking cool. All these ones, like the three in this and like the King guy at the end.
The King with like, he basically has dreads made of vertebrae.
Xenomorph.
Which is
xenomorph tails. It's awesome. I'm like, yes.
I was like, all right, you're fucking cool, man. That's crazy.
You're cool.
So
Let's go.
beastly.
Yeah. I think I liked the feudal Japan Predator guy. Just his build. He had like the biggest array of weapons and stuff too.
A little thinner than the other guys.
Yeah.
A little more svelte. Well, because he's got to fight ninjas, so it's like it's great to have that compliment. That spear that like then bisects you. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh my god,
that killed in the room.
Oh my god.
Like that happens. He's like he chung and then thunk. Like oh yes, that's Predator movies need to do. They need to make you go oh.
Yep. And like they didn't even, aside from at the end,
lot.
like there's no shoulder mounted 3 thing. Like they didn't even use that. That's like the coolest thing. And like they're like, no, we got 1 billion things that are cooler than that. And
and also
great.
like, you know, maybe it took a while to get the shoulder camera going. Like they're like, because it's 300 years, 1,000 years, like whatever. You know, we got time.
I was watching some like interviews and stuff, and just about how it came about with Dan Trachtenberg and Joshua Wassing. I'm going to mess up his last name, co-directed it. But they both, like you're saying, Sal, were from Prey. Dan Trachtenberg directed Prey. Joshua was involved in that. Well, I can't remember exactly what, but like they were doing a lot of like the previs stuff for Prey, which is just like these kind of roughly animated things to help kind of figure out the blocking and framing and action and all that kind of stuff.
Totally.
And like they said they were having so much fun with that stuff. They're like, if we could just make this into its own thing and really like push everything, push the action.
I feel like
and
so much of it was so good because of that, because animation lends itself to doing things that are just outstanding in terms of like, if I was watching a human do this, I wouldn't be able to have like the suspension of disbelief where like, I'd be like, you're not going to jump across that. Like nobody can jump that far. But if I'm watching an animation and he's jumping across the roof, I'm like, I'll accept that as a thing. And especially the underwater sequence was just incredible.
Yeah.
How are you going to shoot that as a live action? I mean, it's possible, but it wouldn't be nearly as good, I think. It was really fun to watch.
I was trying to find just the budget for this, but since it's not considered like theatrical release, they didn't put like a budget or release a budget for it or whatever. But the studio that behind it was The Third Floor, which it was their first like full length feature. What they've done before, they worked on a ton of stuff before. They're like a VFX special effects house. Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Kong versus or Godzilla versus Kong, House of the Dragon, one of the seasons for that. So like a lot of like special effects and, you know, 3D art and stuff like that. One of the things that was interesting to me, mainly because like I don't fully understand how to use it, is it was made in Unreal Engine, which is like used for video games and stuff.
Yeah.
and a lot of animation. And from what I understand from it, it's like it's easy to kind of build out things quickly in there. So I'm sure they're able to, like, once they got the art style set, kind of build out everything and put it in Unreal Engine, and it's kind of easier to manage certain things from that way. Because there's just like so much action and crazy amount of like backgrounds and scenery and all that shit happening. So if Unreal Engine lends some efficiencies to that whole process, like that makes a lot of sense because there's just like so much stuff happening so quickly.
Yeah.
It's funny because like the guy who's like the mentor, Vandy, we're all just like, all right, who is he? What act? It's Michael Biehn.
Yeah.
He's amazing. He's never been in a Predator movie, so I was like, yay!
I did the same thing. I was like, who is? Yeah, same.
Who's this guy with a very distinct voice? Okay. He did great, by the way. He's always great.
What's the group? He's been in like Aliens.
Oh yeah. Alien. He's been killed. No, yeah, like Bill Paxton's been killed by a Terminator, Predator, and an alien.
Yeah.
So Michael Biehn has fought a Terminator, a Predator, and an alien.
All right.
It's not bad.
Actually, I think he's been killed by all of them too. If you use all the canon.
I've never seen like a oneer like this in animation for this freaking long. So obviously there's like hidden cuts and stuff in there.
I'm so glad you're going to talk about this because there's one point where the second time that I watched it, I was like, oh, that was a cut.
Yeah.
Because it's,
This whole thing starts from here. And you can see a couple of spots here. Like it's all comped in. If you notice like her and the dude over here, they're moving like independent from the background.
Yes.
So they're like comped in. But so there's parts like that. But then there's parts where the characters really seem to be integrated into the background as well. But I think that's how they're hiding some of these cuts. But the amount of like, and that like cuts in there, it's not even like a knock on it. It's just, that's insane just planning where to fucking cut these things anyway.
Yeah.
But the easiest one is like when anything kind of wipes across the screen. So like there.
Like right there.
That's a cut. Yeah. So like, somebody's in charge of this opening part here, right?
Yeah.
Of just like figuring out all these moves and the timing.
and the angle and the background.
Yeah. And getting the camera right and everything. And then getting that hooked up with the next animator who's doing this part. And at one point I thought this might be a cut, but I don't think it is. It might just be more of a reset for the stuff that's happening in the background here.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then all this crazy stuff. Just insane.
Yeah.
That sword could is that?
I know.
cut?
There's a couple things like that. Yeah, you're right. Like it's kind of slightly distracting. There's like a shield, I think, that does that same sort of thing. She loves using that.
That jagged shield.
Yeah,
I love it
Lord.
too. It's so badass.
So she's just...
Here we go.
There you go. That guy
That
falling.
guy walking across the shot here, or his torso at least.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just
There's
boom.
another. Yep.
That's a
A
wipe.
wipe.
Totally. And they did a similar thing here too. A lot of the VFX in this, I don't think all of them, but similar to like Arcane, where this is like a 2D thing.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so that's like shot 2 into shot 3. Oh, Jesus. So many decapitations.
So many.
It goes on for a while where there wasn't really, it starts to get a little bit trickier with where these might be.
Yeah.
Because this goes on for a while.
Yeah.
Then I started to think like, it's a tricky one here, but I think this is a cut. Let's see. And this goes on for a little bit. It's where this dude starts hammering down here. And I think it's just the way this is composited. Like these two, if you see here, they're moving independent from the background and stuff, right? So they're like their own thing. And then the spear comes in from her son and knocks that axe out of his hand. So I think that is like these two are its own thing. So once they clear frame,
you're
now
good to
it's-
reset.
it's
Now
another
it's
guy.
a new scene. Yeah.
because you can
It's
see the difference too.
so-
Like this is what I was talking about. Like he's connected to the background here,
Yeah.
where they weren't. Right,
Oh,
he's
that's a good
moving with
point.
camera and stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you could hide another in here. Like he's cleared
Yeah.
frame. There's no main character here, and then she's in over here. So that could be another. But then, because then it runs into a whole other crazy
Yeah.
thing. I'm just like, good God. It goes on for so long. It's so intense. Like this could be
Yeah.
another one here too. Because again, like she's
Yeah, the whip pan.
Yep. and now you can reset because she's going to do another fucking crazy thing. This could be another one here.
Yep.
And it's like, even with that though, it's like, it's hard to get all this stuff to hook up. Like you need to, there needs multiple animators need to be in sync with like what camera you're using, what's the, like sharing all this information
Cutting
so it all makes sense.
Giant scene into multiple pieces so that multiple people can work on it is just insane.
Absolutely nuts. She works her way through here. There's got to be something in here, but I think there's got to be a cut because this is fucking insane. And then like here, there's a funny wipe when the last guy gets decapitated. Here.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Yeah, right there. But it's like, I'm not totally sure. It just must be they're just matching this pose here into this next shot because then he does that. Oh. Just crazy, just so crazy. And like even here, this is a ridiculous shot to land on, but like you get a good look at how they handled all this stuff. Like, this build is just like, this is just a model shape and it's all just that texture of his like fine hair to give it that texture. And you can see that on her coat too. It's got that kind of pelt feel, but it's just the texture on there that's detailed.
Yeah.
So it saves a lot of time.
It's great. It's a movie that I would never have pegged them to make. Like it's something where it's like, I can't believe they did The Thing. It's so that's like my like mantra nowadays is just do the thing, and I can't believe they actually did it. Like you have the Predator license, just have them fight cool shit, and just dedicate like 2/3 of the time to watching the person that Predator is going to lose to be awesome, and then have the Predator be a Predator, where it's like it's science fiction, it's insane, it's even more ridiculous. Like you watch a genuine action sequence that could not realistically, but like story-wise work within the context of the history that we're seeing, and then boom, and then to get 3, and then to put them all together, and then to have
another story where they're
on the Predator planet. And the only thing that I was like, what? It was like how many ships go after them. I'm like,
I know. I was like, all right, well, they're done.
That's enough ships.
I would have been happy with 4 going after them. There were so many. I was like,
30.
well, they're dead. We're not going to get to see them
well,
again.
Yeah, well, we'll never see them again. And I guess, Jesus,
technically, because the Viking, she throws her. I actually, after the fact, I thought like she threw herself down, thinking like I'm on a suicide mission now, and then we see her at the end, and she's in cryo again. They don't want. They don't. They're not just going to murder her for no reason. They want her to fight to the death, and that's like part of their like credo,
And then we got a little post-credit scene where I was like, okay, gonna sequel bait this. Naru from Prey is in cryo sleep as well.
I was trying to spot. They passed two other ones. One was like that crazy kind of alien spider looking thing.
Yeah, I was like, is that a xenomorph? No.
And then the other one, I was like,
is that Arnold?
Yeah,
yeah, that's what Dan was looking for too. He was like, okay, let's see.
Yeah.
They got
Arnold. Get Arnold and Danny Glover, and then have them fight the Predator together.
I was trying to
come in.
I was trying to think like in all the other Predator stuff, do they mention like what happened to Dutch or anything afterwards?
There is in Predator 2, Gary Busey's character talks about interviewing. No one gets mentioned by name, but he interviews Anna, the survivor, and Arnold, and he gives them all the information they need about like what the Predators do, how they see and stuff. In a deleted segment from Predator 2, the actress who plays Anna from Predator 1, the one female character in the entire movie, she's actually technically in the like storage unit that they're in, like in the base, like she's there to like as a liaison kind of, which would have been a cool movie now that I'm thinking about it. Just Aliens Predator, where you just go like, oh, they're like, we need you to come back and deal with this Predator. We're gonna catch him. She's like, no. Anyway, so they mention her, and then after that, in Predators, they talk about it again. Like they mention, I think either Arnold. Yeah, they mention Arnold, and that's it. And then there's the gun, like the 1776 gun, which appears in both.
Oh, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. I was
just just it appears in
how
3
do they
movies now.
find if you kill a Predator and they found all of these people? How do they find them after the fact? And so I was like spitballing this with Dan, and I was like, does each Predator have like a body cam on them where like they're and like a tracking device, so like, all right, they're going to be tracked, or they know where they're going, so they can find their remnants, and then let's look at the body cam footage to figure out who killed you, and then you have to track down that person, because the only one we see get lifted is the last one when he's at his father's garage.
Mhm.
And there's no real indication of how much time has passed.
No, that's
true. Yeah.
Is this a short period of time, or is this years later?
I'm assuming the war's over. And so, like, it's got to be, like, the late 40s, early 50s.
Mhm.
But, like,
yeah, it's
what
probably
I'm
some
wondering
time.
is, like, is this 15 years later? I don't know. Like, I didn't really pay attention to if there was a change in the character design. But, like, his father wasn't there. So does this mean his father's dead? And is this, like, much, much later? Or, like, how long does it take before they're like, all right, they've got to be tracking them and also get them before they die so that they can have these battle royales.
Yeah.
You know?
I assume that, like, you know, they're going to be a scene where, like, Dutch from Predator 1 is just sitting in his easy chair, just smoking, and then just, what? Like,
I know they keep it a little bit like loose like that because at the end of Prey, there's like some of the paintings and drawings and stuff showing like one of the ships show up. So
like Predators come back to fight them again.
yeah, I'm like, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, I know. And that's great. Like, I love the idea. The implication of Prey is that, like, that's the first time a Predator has come to Earth.
Mm.
And I don't know if that's true. I just kind of, like, that's my headcanon right now. But I love the idea that, like, the cave paintings that, like, indicate, like, that, you know, Predators come back is, like, the Predator's like, that place sounds awesome. Like, it just, someone did a TikTok about that place and now it's going to blow up. Like, like, what? They have bears and people? I am in.
I forgot
Did
about
you say
that
guy
bear
killed
fight.
a snake? Yeah, he kills that bear. Man, I saw Prey in the theater with the director and the cast and stuff, and like a handful of the rest of us, like regular folk. And let me tell you something: when the Predator picks up that bear when he's cloaked and he's drenched in bear blood, and that makes the outline. Like, the first one was me. Ah, like, that's awesome. Bear blood.
Yeah.
Bear blood. I don't know why I needed to indicate that it was bear blood. It's coming out of the bear. We get it. But I was like, yes, this is great. What a fantastic reveal. Where's the director? I want to open mouth kiss you. He's like, security. And yet another con wipes the dust for me.
I texted Sal. I was like, "This is like everything that I want in like a
That's all I
Predator."
wanted.
Yeah,
It was everything that I wanted in a
fantastic, yeah.
Predator. It's everything that I didn't know that I needed.
I know.
And we're getting another one.
Nice.
Like, and he directed a live action one. Predator Badlands. This one is it's the main character is a predator, and they CG'd him. Like, they needed to CG him this time because he needs to express himself. Like, he needs to have like facial expressions that aren't just like. So they changed his design a little bit, made him like emote, and they had to whip up a Yautja language for him. The Yautja is the like sanctioned term for predator, which I vehemently railed against until it appeared in text in this movie, and I was like, first movie that actually says Yautja. That's
Fine.
it. It's canon now.
No, it's official.
I had always assumed it was just part of the thing. Like, where did it? It wasn't canon before, or I don't.
Oh no, it was.
Okay.
It was. I mean, it was in everything. It was in every comic book, every book. But I was just like, yeah, but like,
Just call him Predator.
no, just call him predator.
But he's a predator.
Like, who named that? Like, what nerdy scientist was like, I think that they should be called the Yautja, and it should be like vexingly spelled.
The end of that last, it wasn't
The
the Predator, where like the suit comes on and it like kind of like Iron
the
Man
Predator
5,
killer,
whatever, you know, like.
Yeah. They
I was like, what is happening in this lore at this point?
Here's some fun trivia about that, because like it was always like floating around throughout the movie. Like, there's like an egg, and it was like a person-sized pod, and they were like, the Predator was holding on to this for humanity, and they didn't know until like the last day of shooting like what was in it, and they were like, it could be a xenomorph, we could put Sigourney Weaver in there. Or it could be an exosuit that makes you a predator, like, or any, and ultimately, like, everybody was like, no. And so it was like, oh, how about the least exciting thing? But also, like, if Sigourney Weaver had come out and been like, what's going on? I would have just thrown up my hands and turned myself inside out. Like, it would have been like, come on. As it stands, it's so lame. The less said about the Predator, the better. It's a calamity.
She's not even from Alien. She's just Dana from Ghostbusters. Like, doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, she's like, what? Yeah.
Just asking about Soul.
She's a working girl. She's like, I just got fired.
Like, finally, it's a crossover everyone's waiting for. Yes! Predator versus Working
Predator
Girl.
versus Working Girl.
That's it for this week. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. If you're watching us on YouTube, give us a like, leave a comment. Let us know what was your favorite Predator. What was your favorite Predator if you watch Killer of Killers? If you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get them, give us a like, leave a comment. It does help us out. I'm going on vacation next week, so no podcast next week. You guys got anything to plug?
Les Poissons Steve.
Yeah, what is that?
It's like
what?
on TikTok and Instagram, and it's an actual French song that's very short, and it for some reason has caught on, and people have been making little mini animations about it, and it's a little orange fish, and he has arms and he has legs, and it's Les Poissons Steve.
Okay.
My flagship show, Back Issues, hit 600 episodes this week.
Yeah, I saw the post. Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I was very excited. In as much as I'm glad to keep doing this, like I don't care about milestones anymore because, like, doesn't do anything for us.
They add up, I know. Yeah.
What could I do with 600? Can I spend it? Like, I don't. But I was.
You could
I was
try.
thrilled to, like. It was not. I mean,
It's a testament in like the YouTube world of everything, that kind of thing. Like that takes some fucking conviction. Yeah.
Yeah, we've outlasted like pillars in the YouTube community who made it their life's blood, and I'm just over here plunking away at 100,000 subscribers, just like, yeah, I still exist.
Yeah, man.
Still doing the thing.
I don't got nothing to plug, so that's me.
All right, kids, we like you. We hope you like us.
If you haven't seen Working Girl, by the way, it's very 80s, it's very like corporate minded, but still a fun watch.
I haven't seen that in forever.
It's fun. I like it. Every once in a while, I'll throw it on.
AJ, you taking notes?
I'm taking notes.
Working
Gotta
Girl.
watch that one now.
I hope you like
Gotta
shoulder
watch Working
pads.
Girl.
Never seen it.
You gotta if you like shoulder pads, you gotta love that movie.